Freedom by Vera and Stanley Alder from the Vegan, Spring issue 1953. If the human being is indeed a potential god, he is certainly a god asleep in chains, the chains of acceptance of his lot. He has allowed himself to be browbeaten by the condition known as civilization into a humble and submissive state, which is often concealed, even from himself, under the self-assurance due to an extreme inferiority complex. The self-protective tyranny, which we call civilization, has been built upon the enslavement of the human being in various subtle ways. For instance, he is persuaded that progress consists in having innumerable needs which are constantly increasing. This produces a vast commerce, and man is imprisoned in factory and field, slaving his life away to produce all that he has been taught to need. We accept all of this unthinkably, for our slavery to our education is complete. We simply accept our lot. The Jesuit priests are quoted as saying, "Give me a child until he is 7 and you can do what you like with him afterwards." This implies that by the age of 7, a person's character has been determined and pressed into a mould from which he will never escape. This process has been performed upon all of us, and we grew up automatically unconscious of it, and from 7 years onwards it still continues. The schoolchild submits at any rate outwardly to being moulded by his religion, his college, his club, and later to his local social community, his business office, his regiment, his political party, and his pet newspapers and radio programs. Long before he has grown up, his life is so full of the things he is supposed to do and to study and to believe that he rarely stops to do any original speculation of his own. The majority of young men soon discover that their jobs take up most of their time and energy, and that all that they can hope for is to enjoy a little sport or a hobby of some kind during their few spare hours. With their sisters, it is much the same. The exigencies of living, the work of the home, of their job, or both, absorb most of their time, strength and interest. Most people reach adulthood fighting in a quiet and accepted way for their very lives. If they cannot obtain and hold down a job, the majority of them will be faced with disaster. Thus a dull sense of urgency obtains throughout their lives as constant companion in the background. They have to learn how to keep their job and how to hold their own socially. In both these cases, they must do what is expected of them and behave as much as possible like everyone else. From birth they have been trained in this way, and having accepted this training, they have consequently built the required cocoon around their minds, and the cocoon has taken the form which all the influences impinging upon them from the outside, together with the acquiescence of its owner, have collectively produced. We each of us have helped out most dutifully in the making of our own cocoon, and now we are safely imprisoned within it, a useful member of society, a society which has produced the atom bomb for us with our own acquiescence. By the time we became adult, our cocoon began to harden into a chrysalis, a shell of mental habits and ideas so crystallized that we could no longer clearly observe the outer world through it, but we had our viewpoint permanently crippled by the warps and knots of our fixed ideas. A lifelong cripple is almost unconscious of his crutches, and would be entirely so if everyone around him were the same as he. All of us are mental cripples together, so we do not notice that there is anything wrong. If anyone arises amongst us with a comparatively free mind, he is likely to be seen abnormal to us, a stranger, and he may make us so subtly uncomfortable that we could hate him for it. On the other hand, if we have become partly conscious of our crippling chrysalis and are dimly struggling to find a way out, the appearance of any kind of pioneer may awaken fanatical devotion within us. Here is someone to cling to, someone to do our thinking for us, someone whom we can possess as our leader and guide. Thus we provide the soil in which a Hitler can flourish, and the second state may be worse than the first. How has man, the potential god, come to such a sorry pass? What shall he do to be free? For, in spite of it all, man knows that freedom is his spiritual birthright, as his recent gesture in setting up the 4 freedoms of the Atlantic Charter proves. This is surely the essential problem for all of us and for our children. Let us be thinking it over and see what conclusions we can come into the next summer issue.